Hey everybody, it's Devin with Devin's Dog Days, and today we are going to be covering the head of the Lakeland Terrier for our latest Lakeland Terrier special series. So stay tuned and I'll be going over everything from how to properly groom the Lakeland Terrier head to really nail their expression, get that ear set on point, and how to just blend everything in to all the other areas on your dog. So stay tuned. Alrighty, so to get started, I'm using my number 3 to go on top of her head. And usually what I do is I start with the top of the head and get this really nice and flat, and then I go over the zygomatic arch, which goes from the top of the level plane of the head over into the corner of the eye and the ear, and I get this really nice and tight. What that does is it really helps give that ear a nice arch. It gets rid of all of this extra hair here and just pulls that head together even better. And it also helps nail that expression, because when we get this tight and we can get a good brow on top of here, it gives them that inquisitive, little impish kind of expression that they're supposed to have, but also like just your normal working terrier. Like they're supposed to be alert, intelligent, but confident. So usually I use the point of the eyebrows. If you feel you've got your 2 little nods right here, just on the top of the eyes, and I use that as my stopping point to make sure that I don't go too far forward. I feel like this is always a good practice because I can always pull more to blend it into the fall, but I can't go back. So this is where I like to start. So again, just holding on and pulling straight back. Top of the head is always a really nice, easy section to do. A lot of times it's always good practice to do an X from one of the corner of the eyebrows. So right where you feel that divot right in behind the eye, I like to pull straight back across over to the other ear and vice versa. Good girl. And you can already see right here I've pulled out this area and it's already so much tighter to the body, which is exactly what we're going for. Because we are removing the outermost layer, and what that does is it helps get this coat really laying nice and tight to the body. You want to think of a hand-stripped terrier's coat like a well-knit sweater or a suit of armor. It needs to be custom tailored to their body and able to protect them for the work that they do and for all the outdoor elements, and to not get in the way and impede their ability to do that. You know, as much as this fall protects their face, we need to also make sure that it's not so profuse that it inhibits their ability to see. So I usually like to put my thumb here too, because it just helps me kind of have a better grip on the coat to make sure that, you know, her skin is held taut, so it's not kind of snapping back and forth every time I strip. It makes it much more comfortable for them. And you just keep going until you remove that layer. And I'll also start to go over the ear, because I consider around the ear to be part of the head, and then I leave a little bit of this center area right behind the occiput to help blend into the neck. That's a personal preference for me. I just like it because it really helps build up that arch, but you don't want to do it so much that it starts to look like you're grooming an English Cocker, because I have been a little guilty of that sometimes, as English Cockers were one of the breeds that I first started with and really fell in love with and first understood. And so now that I've got the top of the head nice, this is pretty tight, I'm going to go a little bit more forward here, because I can see when I'm looking at it, here is the occiput and here is her stop, which in this breed is meant to be barely perceptible. So from this to this needs to be my level plane. So I know I can go a bit more forward here. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my 2, because I'm running out of quite as much density, so I'm really just finessing the top of the head here. And these hairs aren't quite as thick as everything else I've been pulling, so I can switch it up, because the coarseness of your knife, if your knife is too coarse and you're pulling hairs that are too thin, it can cause breakage. It may not necessarily cut them, but it'll break it. So you always want to make sure that you are using the correct knife for the density of coat that you're working with. Alright, so I'm liking the way that's looking now. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on this zygomatic arch. So literally it's just this section from the corner of the ear to the little divot right behind the eye, to the corner of the eye and the lower corner of the ear. And I'm going to pull that really nice and tight, because again, it helps give them that really nice expression, lets their ear rests where it should be, where it's supposed to be just kissing the cheek. You don't want it looking like it's really like laying flat on that head, which is why if you pull this nice and tight, it gives you more distance and more space between the ear and the head. So it gives them that good expression of the ear just kissing the cheek. And again, I just start from the corner of the eye. And I'm also not afraid to really pull some of this up on top of where an eyebrow would be. These guys don't necessarily have an eyebrow, but their brow goes forward into their fall. And I mostly worry about that so much when I'm working on grooming the fall, which I only do after a fresh bath. And I do maybe every 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I just lightly pluck that, even sometimes working on it weekly, just plucking little by little to really help grow in good layers there, so that it's very nice and very full. And you can see you can also pluck right out on the sides of those eyes. And you can pull this hair sideways, and you don't want any of this hanging over further past the eyes, because once they start moving around, that means that that hair is going to be flopping around and getting in their face and distracting them. And already you can see one side to the other how this is looking so much more nice and rectangular, and this is still popping out on the side here. Good girl. Now I can go ahead and finish that up and neaten that up. Probably going to come back in here with my little pumice stone, because it's really good at getting these little areas nice and neat. Oh, but that worked pretty well actually. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and do the other side of the head. So again, just repeating the same exact thing. Got the top nice, so I'm going to start at the corner, work my way back to the corner of the ear, and then blend into the top of the head and get that to match and really pop that arch out. I love doing the top of the head. It's such a quick little piece. Always feels nice to get it done after you've already done your flat work or whatnot. And it just helps bring the whole head together. Again, always like to go behind the ears at this point. Match those areas up. Because to me, this is part of the head and not part of the neck, so I'm going to groom it when I groom the head. Pulling that more and more forward as I see fit, as I work on it. Like I said, you can always pull off of it more, but you can't always put it back on, so be mindful in these types of areas to make sure that you don't over pull, because that's part of your fall and you don't want to lose that. Good girl. Okay. And I again do not touch the fall. I don't touch any of the front of the face, any of the areas where I have furnishings, unless they are freshly bathed. If you pull those while they're dirty, they're not in their best condition. They're not in the condition that you would be showing them in. So if you pull without bathing and then you go and bathe them afterwards and try to get it together, you're going to have a bunch of different lengths, a bunch of different layers, and you're not really going to know what you're working with. So this is a new stripping knife actually coming from Skip Go. He is out of Ohio. He is an Airedale breeder, and he's my Airedale mentor, really, and he is just a wonderful guy, and he makes really amazing hand stripping tools. This is a newer one that he's coming out with, which is amazing because I notoriously cannot find ones that fit my thumb. Most of the time I end up actually flipping them backwards and using them like that, but this is perfect for me. It works right in my thumb. I can get right in there. I can use the corners to really get areas tight, and I absolutely love it. And in comparison to other ones that I've used on the market, his grit does not wear down like other ones. I have multiple knives from Skip. As you can see, they are very used, and all three of these I believe are at least 2 to 3 years old. As you can see, they are very well used. The paint has rubbed off this much, but not the grit. And I don't care about the paint. I care about the grit. I want to make sure that I can still use them for grooming. So these are the aluminum ones, which I love because they're super lightweight, and I just Skip, mwah, beautiful stones. So I'm gonna go ahead and showcase this guy for you today. So I am just going in and really trying to clean up these little hairs that are sticking up and out in front of the ear, because when I get that expression, I want to see more of this space here to really show off those zygomatic arches and how her ear really rests so nicely on her head. So I can just use this little guy and just literally just lightly pluck, and it just comes right out. Such good grip. I love this tool, and again, it fits my thumb so well. Huge fan. I'm not sure if he has these out just yet, but I know that he is working on finishing them. He had this beautiful brown tortoiseshell color, something of the sort, and I think he had some green ones and other things. I just absolutely adore these. This size definitely is my most used one, because these are also really great to use on coats that are very hairy, that you have to do a lot of work on, but that you don't want to that you want to do a lot of work on, but you don't want to do a lot of damage. And sometimes those coats, you know, they can be a little bit scraggly and you can run the risk of breaking hair, and I just find that these work really well at getting that down without causing damage to the coat. Nice. And it's even good at getting those little fuzzies. Good for blending. Those little guys make a little bit of a bald patch right here, but that's okay. It'll grow back in a week. This is what I get for not keeping up on top of my dogs. But I am human. Human I am. There we go. Very nice. Hi there, baby. Oh. Okay. One more ear though, and then we'll be done. Okay. And then you can have a break. I know it's a hard life. Being this pretty, it's so difficult for her. A little bit too much over here. I did your flat work the other day, but that's okay. We'll get it right now. I know you can hear it right in your ear. Sometimes I feel like they react more to the sound than anything, especially when you get around their ears. I would imagine that that doesn't sound great right outside your ear canal. Good girl. Because again, I'm not holding her head at all. She's just resting it in my hand while I'm working on her right now. The most I do is pull her skin taut. If terriers, there are dogs that have a harder time being hand stripped, and if they don't like it, they let you know. Terriers are not shy to let you know. So this Missy has been getting groomed regularly since she was a pup. She knows that this is totally normal, and she also knows she's going to get spoiled around with treats after. So she is very, very good for all of it. And she's such a good little ambassador for the breed. And yes, you are. All right, let's see that expression now. Much better. Let's get this on the outside of your eyes. And we do pluck the eyelashes. No, it does not hurt them. Yes, it is for their benefit. It helps open up those eyes so they can see more. They already have hair protecting it. And a lot of times eyelashes just get in the way. Good girl. There she is. There she is. Good girl. All right, and so that is it. So we went over flat work and the top of the head in this video. Again, I pulled her down from very fuzzy, so I left some of this here so that basically at the end of this week, I'm gonna be able to re-pull that, and it's gonna be the most perfect and beautiful layer underneath of there, already grown in, and I'm gonna have 2 layers that I can constantly cycle through. Because luckily she has a not super aggressively growing coat. I know that sometimes, like my boy Cosmo, he grows very fast and I have to strip him probably at least once a week, and if I want to have more than 1 layer, twice a week. So it all depends on your dog. Some grow faster, some grow slower, and it's a learning curve for every individual dog. So if you take your dog to a groomer to have them hand stripped, always remember that takes the learning curve. It can take a couple of appointments to really understand a dog's coat. And if you are a groomer and you are new to hand stripping or whatnot, always understand and always explain that to your customers. It can take a couple of appointments to really get the coat down to a science. So I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I hope you guys will tune in next time. We'll be going over the sides of the neck and the shoulders. So stay tuned. I'll see you next time at Devon's Dog Days.